So warmly welcome back, guys, for another uh, part number 3 session. So now we are going to discuss the real-time CSE planning. Until now, just to recap, we have discussed what is confined space, what is confined space entry, and we have shared some of the information of confined space examples. And later on, we discussed what is confined space program and what are the key elements into that program. And most importantly, we discuss the responsibilities of CSC project team, like issuer and receivers. Then we discuss about management responsibilities and most importantly, the CSE supervisor. I would say the key role model to manage the whole project with the complete knowledgeable and professional approach. And then we also discuss the value of standby man along with his responsibilities and most importantly, the entrant who is going to perform the activity inside the confined space, and we call them affected employees also. Along with that, we somehow, not part of this material, but still we discuss some of the areas of authorized gas tester, the responsibilities, and the fire watcher. And other than those designations, if someone we need for this confined space project, again, we have to allocate responsibilities along with the key qualifications or competencies which need to be evaluated, and then we hire that gentleman to perform, or help us for this particular project in confined space. In the third module, we started why plan, and we understood yes, we need a plan to find out or to identify the hazards and putting some controls and precautions. And then we also agreed and understood that the planner need to be protected all the way that he is knowledgeable and the key elements in the CST planning. The next step we discuss what are the key elements within the planning need to be ingredient like the scope of work and several other things. And now we are going to talk about one of the example of this planning unit. And let me get your insights also. Like within this picture, if you see on the right side, I hope the screen is visible to you guys, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
look at the right side. There is one picture. So you can observe it's a hot work project. Okay. We have standby man. We have ventilation system. We have extractor. We have emergency plan in place, alarm on, and most importantly, the lifeline to the safety harness in case of emergency to bring the gentleman upstairs, outside the confined space. Okay. So what I mean is just to perform one activity, might be a small crack is there or small damage, just for this small activity, but the most important and critical one, see how many roles were working together, like issuer and receivers, management, CSE supervisor, standby manager, authorized gas tester, the fire watcher also be in place to be provided. And most importantly, the complete mechanism of PPs and required technical resources, especially ventilation equipment and all. And the standby man, the key gentleman available all the time at the entry point. And the gentleman who's performing the activity also have to be technically sound enough. And then sometimes it need to be approved by the client also. Because as I told you in a Aramco case, they will not accept blindly your crew members. They can evaluate their competency level, and if they are happy and satisfied, then you have a good news. You can utilize those guys for different projects, within a Aramco network. Same criteria for SABIC and some other mega brands. Now, my question is, can we just sequence what exactly, like, just to perform this project? What was the first step actually of this project, which you are seeing into this picture? The first step, as per your understanding, until now we have discussed a lot of things. Over to you guys.
Planning,
Yes, Mr. Abdullah?
planning the entry and exit. What we need as a safety rescue a team, how we can rescue if there is any emergency.
So that means CSE program, the master plan you mean.
Yes.
Perfect, Masha. Number 2 step. As per your experience or understanding until now, what should be the number 2 step? Yes, Mr. Irfan? Any value addition from your side, please? Number 1, there must be a program. That means the master plan. And the plan have no value if you don't have a proper, qualified, trained team, right? So qualified people we need to perform that. So that means the team selection according to our. Yes, Mr. Irfan, please.
After team selection, we will apply the permit.
Huh? And what should be the third step?
We will apply the permit.
Yeah. Okay.
Assign standby man and fire watcher.
Excellent. And make sure you have how many permits should be there? Like just to perform this particular project, you are observing in the picture.
2 confined space and hard work.
That's it.
Confined
Is it
space
enough?
permit and hard work permit.
Uh-huh.
2 different permits. Hard work separate, hard work and confined space.
Okay.
For entry, confined space. And for hard work perform, we need hard work permit.
Mm-hmm. And imagine with this confined space, if some liquid was there, some pipelines were attached, do we need another permit if client says that you are the one going to isolate, you are the one going to put locks and tags? Do you
So
need
before
another
start,
permit or you believe 2 are enough?
before this, we have to close this confined space. We required first isolation. Then after we have to apply confined space and hard work.
Perfect. So you believe the client is responsible to give you the safe haven, before you start your job. That they are responsible for isolation and lookout, right?
Sometimes different, like sometimes they given to us and sometimes they given to other contractors for blinding, isolation and manhole opening. We just
Excellent.
enter in the column.
And imagine if you are that contractor also, along with this project. So how many
So we
permits?
have normally as per procedure we have to first isolate. Then ventilation we have to put the ventilation after 12 hour or 10 hour after the.
And now,
cycle is
gentlemen, Mr. Irfan mentioned an important word that we have to isolate. Now, for isolation, what is the best mechanism for confined spaces? The best isolation method. How we need to
Positive
isolate the energies,
by
like
putting the blind, putting the slip blind and in blind like.
that means positive kind of isolation,
Yeah.
like disconnection or blinding. Now, in the
Yeah.
blinding, I'll mention, this blinding, especially in Aramco, they don't accept facility-made blinds twice. It can only be
Non-standard.
used once and then destroyed. And secondly, the blind selection is very much technically mandatory to see the size of the blind, the rating, okay, and the location where exactly you are going to use this blind. So based on this criteria, you select the blinds. And disconnection mostly happening, or being applied when the project have some long term, like, maybe for 1 month, maybe for. So Aramco have criteria like first permit for 1 operational shift. Then if the still you need to extend, then it can be extended up to 24 hours. You can get it renewed like for 1 more shift, in other words. And extended permit maybe extend for 1 week or maybe for 1 month, but maximum duration is 1 month. And on the other side, maximum duration is 2 shifts or 24 hours. Then after 24 hours, another permit. Okay, the same permit can't be renewed again and again. That is the criteria, and might be within your SOP or procedure for PTW system. You can double check what exactly is written within your procedures, and those procedures you can compare with your client. If you are working with SABIC, again compare what is the difference. If you are working with Aramco, Again, compare what Aramco is saying and what your procedures are saying. So according to your client, you can amend and update your procedures and get them approved by your client. And that would be the happiest point for the client also, that you are a very competent and responsible company or contractor with. And I noted several companies, they started this process. They have their PTW system and they started incorporating Aramco requirements or SABIC and all others. And then client to client, they are utilizing, those, like they are not imposing only their procedures. They are updating them according to the client expectations and needs and as per their system, which is designed as per international standards. I hope, mashallah, you guys understand what exactly I'm talking about. So client to client verify. So later on, because client will definitely audit your project, client will ask several reports, right? So you design your system or upgrade as per the client expectations and needs. And yes, sometimes I prefer companies to have separate procedures for isolation, like blinding, procedure for blinding, procedure for disconnection, procedure for electrical isolation or electrical lockout tagout, procedure for mechanical energy to isolate or lockout tagout. So, or you have a master one procedure and all other you portionalize within the same procedure. That's all your choice. But yes, energy-wise, every method need to be elaborated within your procedure. If you are responsible for LOTO and isolation for some of your projects, or you get directly client-specific, site-specific SOPs from your client and follow the same. And you benchmark and you tell your client, we don't have our own system, but we respect your system and we will not violate. Yes, we have our general safety management system, but specific to your requirements, we will be following your system because that is more protective, more logical. So this is how sometimes we keep our clients happy also. Now, locate and identify method of each isolation point. So very much important scope of work, identification of hazards, locate and identify method of each isolation point, procedures for cleaning, purging, and ventilation. Now, for cleaning, could be a water wash or could be steaming process, right? And for purging,
Sometimes chemical.
nitrogen. And nitrogen, basically it will cool down the area, but make sure while you are performing purging process, oxygen should not come on the way. If it is mixed with oxygen, then another, you know, chances of terrible incident got forbid. So ventilating, these are the procedures need to be implemented and first must be part of the planning. Entry and exit requirements, how are we going to go inside, what equipment we need to use, and most importantly, the guys who are going to enter also need to be trained. Pedestrian vehicle barriers, still planning going on, fall protection plans. Okay, this is real-time CSE planning. Types of frequency of gas testing, as I mentioned earlier, before issuing the permit, gas test results should be there before first entry, then after the breaks, whenever the condition change, or if client says after 30 minutes you have to come out and go back again to the confined space, again retesting. So like in Aramco, after every 2 hours, gas testing is mandated. You can note down and remember, after every 2 hours, Aramco says gas testing is mandatory. But in your case, might be your client is saying 30 minutes. After every 30 minutes, you have to come out and go back again. But make sure this gas testing is happening and you, project to project, according to the design of the confined space, also you set up this frequency. And that frequency can also be continuous gas monitoring according to the nature of your project. Because I told you, if hot work is going on, then LEL, lower explosive limit, above than 0%, but no hot work is allowed. That's all we are going to discuss in module number 4, inshallah. Equipment required to do work is very much important. Emergency response procedures must be part of the planning, and plan should be available also to review for all the work crews. Now, pre-entry preparation, once your plan is ready, now it's a time to follow and respect that plan. Pre-entry preparation is what we need. review the plan with a word trade, kind of a toolbox meeting, in other words, perform a hazard evaluation of space and surrounding area. Still, as a team now, implement control measures. According to the plan, make sure you have rescue plan also must be in place before entry. And rescue team, sometime we have from the client side as a backup, the emergency rescuers or emergency rescue team. From the client as a backup, we sometimes have. And sometimes client says you have your ERP, your emergency response plan. So you must have all these rescues. That's all your agreement with your client. But if it is from the client side, it's more protective because that is their territory. They understand better how to rescue somebody. Like if you go to Aramco, mostly they will provide emergency responder from their side. But yes, they encourage the contractors to keep their rescue team also well trained and certified. Now, like you can take an example if only Saudi Aramco employees are involved in CSE. So operations can receive permits. Every entry must have a CSE supervisor. Every entry must have a CSE supervisor. Entrants need to be physically fit for entry. That means a standby man assigned by CSE supervisor, communication equipment, fire extinguisher. So if Aramco employees are involved, if contractor employees are there, like ensure the preparation, like the required permits are issued, then prepare for the job site. Isolate work site using, the signs, barricades. This is quite general things what we follow, but very much important. Check entry and exit points. No blockage, no engulfment. Nothing is blocked. It's quite clear. So entry equipment need to be used. Communication equipment is available. Initial response and equipment is also available. Check confined space entry checklist. Like, there are in Aramco 27 points entry checklist, and each tick you have to be careful before you apply that one, like specific checklist for complex entry. Hazard analysis in Aramco is made part of the permit forms. Like on the permit form, you will get a hazard analysis checklist. So every tick again have importance. We don't do fake ticks. We make sure that our brain and eyes are fully focused and involved before we tick. And it's a genuine tick, not the fake one. Take an example, like if you mention confined space entry plan provided and available. So you have to say yes, not applicable, not at all acceptable here. Aramco example, area barricaded and has warning signs posted. Yes. Now, same way you can check your checklist. Like Mr. Irfan, you mentioned, you have confined space checklist. So you can compare with Aramco, even that checklist. Or you have more points, might be. That means much better and deeper system comparing to Aramco. Or might be Aramco have a better approach. So you can benchmark accordingly, like after uh, comparing the complete system. Same way with Sabiku. Electrical sources isolated, process piping equipment isolated. So each point you don't just take, you make sure it is genuinely done. Same kind for same type of takes. You have to be careful for hazard analysis checklist. But in hazard analysis, no three options are just giving yes, no, or not applicable. So for yes, for no, or for not applicable, logically, technically, conceptually, as per Aramco, systematically, it need to be genuine. Otherwise, they have a right to cross check, or the cross question can be there, just to double check, is it a genuine tick or just you just take and fulfill the formality? Because ultimately, the designated issuer is going to sign it, and the certified Aramco approved work permit receiver is also signing it. So in your case, you can make two teams. You are the certified issuers or trained and certified issuers. You can issue the ID also through third party or internally. That's all up to you. If client is accepting the same mechanism, then you can avoid further investment. But still, I would encourage to benchmark a system which is acceptable globally, because today you are working with client A, tomorrow might be client B or Saudi Aramco. So then Saudi Aramco will not accept your issuers, your receivers until they all are approved by Saudi Aramco. And in Saudi Aramco system, issuer will be from Saudi Aramco side. and then receiver, you can get them certified. Now, confined space entry preparation, very much important point. First of all, no obstruction at the entry point. Post warning signs and permits are issued and available. Isolate and ventilate. Get, the gas tests need to be conducted as per CSE plan. Issue proper PPs, like all PPs, including as per the hazard analysis. Use CSE checklist. We need proper, the isolation and LOTO, especially for energies like electrical. We can rely on LOTO. For mechanical energy, again, we can rely on LOTO. Sometimes isolation is also applicable here. Hydraulic and pneumatic, just depressurize because it's a pressure, so pressure need to be depressurized. But make sure the remained pressure or remained energy, which we call residual energy, that should also be not miscalculated. Because sometimes we think, oh, small air pressure, nothing will happen, small liquid, small kind of gases are there, so no worries. But the moment you will start working, it can accelerate. And this is how sometimes, because of miscalculations, because of ignoring residual energy, still a lot of incidents are happening, especially in high hazardous industries. Now, for LOTO and isolation, there is another process. We sometimes use the drain. If liquid is there, like hazardous material need to be drained. Cleaning, water wash or steaming, we use. Or we apply purging process. And for purging, we use nitrate. Okay. Now, the last part is all about hazards and controls. And I believe as a CSE supervisor, this is the most important element because ultimately we as a leadership position holder, our single goal is the project need to be executed safely without injuries, without near misses, without any unwanted event or accident or incident. So that is our main part as a leader, right? So this module number 4 need to be taken very much serious, and that's why I always share, the material so you can refresh your knowledge anytime in future. Now, confined space hazards. One example is engulfment. That means the entry point somehow blocked because of sudden sandstorm, the sand gone inside, sudden flood or heavy rain. It's hard to come out, or the design collapsed. The confined space is a collapse, and the entry points are blocked or closed, God forbid. So that is number one hazard. Now, what other hazards are coming in your mind, guys? Can you get involved and share some of the insights? Mr. Abdullah, Mr. Irfan, Shiv and Kumar, please.
Hazard gases
Put it there.
like H2S,
Look at the picture, even you can recall by looking.
Falling, falling from heights.
Okay. So slip, trips, and fall. Slip, trips, and fall. We call them common workplace hazards also. Okay. So I completely agree. What else? What else, please?
Getting injury because of space limited.
Uh-huh.
Hitting your head or knees.
Mhm. Okay. Any other? Yes, Mr. Irfan. Yes, Shiv Kumar. The problem is in my online sessions, my single goal is not to let my trainees sleep, And how do we sleep? If I'll be speaking, speaking, and speaking, and you will be sleeping, sleeping.
no, we are not sleeping, sir.
So, but thank you very much for your active participation, by the way. Yes, please. What hazards are coming in your mind related to confined space?
Toxic gases,
Toxic gases. Any example of toxic gases?
H2S,
H2S, the silent killer, the monster, very poisonous gas.
ammonia
Colorless
also,
ammonia, okay. What else?
And then enrichment, oxygen enrichment, and oxygen deficiency.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Carbon monoxide.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So toxic gases mean again
Gas
another
heater.
knowledge. So basically, knowledge is, like if you research on engulfment, maybe you can get a lot of stuff. So now that is your choice, guys, because in one day how much we can learn. But consider as your regular practice, you take one word and you start digging out more knowledge here. Because now it's like a sea. If we talk about planning, and you become the master planner, start because people are looking for the better planners. What I mean is that is all your choice how much you want to research. But let me share extreme temperatures is another hazard as per Aramco, electrical hazard, mechanical hazard could be there if those energies are not properly locked or isolated. Noise, if abrasive blasting is going on, grinding, cutting, or any sort of activity which generate some noise, and the legal limit of noise level is 85 decibel. Above than 85 decibel, it's a hazard limit. And for 8 hours, we can accept below 85 decibel, but above than 8 hours, even 85, below 85 is not accepted. Okay, so noise level also need to be monitored. Slips and fall as a common workplace hazard. Poor lighting. Okay, atmospheric, like you mentioned, the invisible enemies like H2S, carbon monoxide, LEL, oxygen level, ammonia, and some other toxic gases. Configuration of confined spaces. Sometimes one confined space is coming from this way, the other, and then they all are configured together in the design, and that configuration itself is a hazard because of the complicated design. What I mean is complicated design for easy understanding, the difficult design of the confined spaces linked to each other is another hazard to manage. Now, external activities like heavy equipment, exhaust fumes, oxygen deficiency atmosphere, like because of consumption, maybe displacement. More other toxic gases, less will be the oxygen. Like if you have contamination of other toxic gases into the environment, of course, oxygen level will go down. So below 20% as per Aramco, below 20% is a hazard. Without SCUBA, self-contained breathing apparatus, you are not allowed to work in confined space. But as per OSHA, Occupational Health and Safety Administration of USA, 19.5%, below 19.5% is a hazard. That means 19.5% as per OSHA, as per Aramco 20%. You can double check with your clients what your clients are saying, person client to client. You can compare all these requirements. And then on the other side, 23.5%, above than 23.5% again is a hazard because oxygen enrichment is a source of fire hazard and explosion also. That's why above than 23.5%, even we don't allow anyone to work inside confined space. So flammable atmosphere like hydrocarbons, byproduct work, or toxic atmosphere, maybe H2S, carbon monoxide, radioactive materials like naturally occurring radioactive materials could also be there, which create dangerous radiations. And like mercury, not found in crude refining vessels, but in your case, I believe it shouldn't be that much issue. But external hazards such as combustion engines, like we use generators, and they are once we burn petrol or diesel, carbon monoxide is being generated. And if you are sometimes using generator inside the confined space, then you are the one going to kill yourself, God forbid, right? Because inside the confined space might be the fumes will not easily come out if your ventilation system is not that much protective. Even though if ventilation system is protective, still such engines must be outside the confined space, including some other equipment like compressed gas cylinders, whatever type of cylinder you're using. So keep the extremely flammable elements outside or the extremely toxic equipment which can generate toxic environment. That's all need to be put outside the confined space. It's very generic, right? Requirement. The equipment opening line break, like ULB permit, line opening activity is going on, hydrocarbon sampling is going on, or loading or unloading operations. That should also be considered seriously to if any, like I gave an example, if rigging and lifting activity is going on and our guys are working inside, they have to be careful, or any loading and unloading activity. And sometimes incident happened, one pipeline directly, while offloading, directly hit to the confined space and it's collapsed and the guys got terribly injured and a few fatalities also happened. And I will definitely encourage you for the last 200 years, just start searching what went wrong, what type of accidents happened in construction, in oil and gas, in mining, in pharmaceutical, in paper industry, industry wide. Just start researching, and make it your hobby, and then see what catastrophic mistakes were done, and that is why terrible fatalities happen in shape of such accidents or incidents. And if we can avoid those mistakes, we can generate a better safety system and culture within our companies. And the ratio can go down, and might be in some days we can achieve zero accident, which is unrealistic sometime we consider, until today. Overhead crane lifts can also happen. Now, those were all internal and external hazards, some of the examples. Now, let's talk about control measures. Here, I will ask you guys, imagine if you have LEL 5%. Okay, LEL means lower explosive limit. You have 5% in the confined space, and you are going to have hot work, maybe welding, cutting, grinding, abrasive blasting, or any other. What would be your strategy to? Are you going to allow people to work, or what would be your safe strategy?
We will not allowed to work.
Hot work, right?
Yeah,
To perform
hot work.
Okay. Now you didn't allow to perform hot work. Then what will you do, mate? Because you are stopping your business operation, right? Are you going
We have
to
we have to down the LEL at 0.
how? Mashallah, excellent, Irfan. Brilliant. Now the question is how? How what efforts we will apply to make that
Depend
LEL?
upon this is gas type, we can put the ventilation, we can circulate the.
Excellent. Uh-huh.
If there have
Okay.
liquid, so we have to clean that one.
Uh-huh. Can we claim the isolation and LOTO was not applied successfully?
Yeah, if there are.
Because they have to make sure, first of all, 0% LEL. Because above than 0% LEL, hot work is not permitted.
Yes.
So that means the failure of isolation and LOTO procedure.
Isolation.
Okay.
Isolation and purging, this also purging, cleaning.
Purging, exactly.
They have not done.
Exactly. Absolutely right. Might be the drainage properly not done, cleaning not done properly, the purging process is not followed. Might be the blinding or disconnection methods are not used perfectly. So whatever. But before starting the project, if LEL is above 0% and they are telling you to start, this hardware, don't do this, right? Go with the technical debate and guide your client. Sometimes contractor is more knowledgeable than the client. I hope you will agree with that. So sometimes contractor is the one to guiding to the client also. And there shouldn't be any blame shame, no hesitation. If you trust your client is not that much knowledgeable, guide him properly. Because might be they have only money or some leadership positions, and but technically they are weak. So then as a contractor, you have a right to guide them, and maybe one meeting, one training session to convince them why you are not accepting to go inside. Okay, what can go wrong? So as a control measure, the first thing is do not store inside the space what? Flammable or combustible materials, compressed gas cylinders. Sources of ignition maybe follow hot work permissible like above than 0%. Earlier, no hot work, fire watcher is mandatory. Nearby all flammable elements, manholes, all need to be closed properly. No proper PPs must be used. The fire watcher must be knowledgeable. Fire extinguisher and all other equipment must also be available. And in certain cases, of course, we required to make sure the required team members are fully knowledgeable and trained and certified. Most importantly, the hot work permit must be issued. Okay, along with gas testing and other evidences. Equipment shall meet electrical classification for the area like UL or FML listed, CE mark, fire protection equipment available, and most importantly, the ground air movers like to prevent static buildup. That's part of the ventilation process also. Electrical shock, okay. A ground force circuit like GFC, on tools and equipment, and UL and FM approved equipment and code protection, power failure resulting in loss of lighting. I'm sure you guys are taking care of all these things already. Still one more control, the propagation. Propagation means the drain. Any liquid hazardous materials need to be drained. Use purging process to cool down the area to bring LEL at zero level, 0%, and clean, use water wash or steaming, isolate, lockout, tag out, or blinding or disconnect. These are the control. Ventilation, you can rely on mechanical supply or position of equipment, ground equipment, cooling, exhaust ventilation, natural ventilation. Okay, and examples of gas system need to be monitored. That's we'll discuss in detail. Please take 10 minutes break, and then we'll wrap up as a last session of the day. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Take care, yes.